amid Keir Starmer facing backlash over his what many term as lax immigration policies, with Nigel Farage of Reform UK grilling the UK Prime Minister on the floor of the House. There's now new immigration rules that have taken effect in the country. Now, this is a significant shake-up that's increasing both skill and salary thresholds for key visas for Indians. It's part of Downing Street's plans to build an immigration system that supports economic growth and while drastically, in fact, reducing reliance on overseas labor. And let me, in fact, viewers, walk you through what is it that has really changed and what are the kind of impact that one is going to see in terms of the new rules that have actually come in. Let's put that out for you, viewers. First and foremost, it's the skill threshold that has now been raised to graduate level. And what that means is a lot of lower skilled workers, a lot of lower skilled areas are now not going to be part of the immigration threshold that was till now there. Let's move ahead and tell you what is the skilled worker visa all about and how is it that the salary threshold has raised. Now, what happens when salaries threshold goes up? It automatically means you're not talking about very junior or entry level work. You're talking about something that is more higher end, which is where you need people with more education background, which is why you see the salary going up. The current visa holders also must meet these salary thresholds, which means that if you're earning this much amount of money, then you're eligible for the visa and not after that. Now, Indians, remember, were the largest group of immigrants to the UK in 2023, as per the Office for National Statistics, and with approximately 250,000 arriving mainly for work and educational opportunities, this has a huge impact. Let's move ahead and tell you that when, the next plan is for the care worker visa. Care worker visa essentially are those who are going to be operating in the healthcare sector, where they will now end UK worker immigration route. So no foreigners will now be part of the care worker immigration visa network. No more overseas recruitment will take place there. Let's tell you more in terms of what next. There also, the salary threshold remains the same, but the fact is it's now not open to overseas workers. Now, that is the care. So there are two categories, the care visa and the skilled visa, where you've seen massive changes that have taken place. And then there is the limited access to below degree level occupations. That's the other thing that needs to be kept in mind, that these are the massive changes that have also been brought about. Let's quickly now tell you, viewers, what are the big questions that we are asking, and then we're going to get in Pratik Dattani as well on this. First and foremost, when you talk about the big questions, how will it actually impact Indian students? What's the kind of impact that this will have on Indian students? Because as I said, there's they form a very large chunk of overseas students that come to the UK. The second big question, Starmer under pressure from Nigel Farage's rising power. Essentially, there is a rising right sentiment in the UK, and that has had a huge impact in terms of how immigration is being viewed. And is that the reason why Keir Starmer is coming up with these massive changes? Now, what does ban on care workers actually mean for India? As I said, there's a very large chunk of these categories that are served by Indians who go there through legit routes. How much will the impact be on them? Are Indian students caught in the political crossfire between Nigel Farage taking on Keir Starmer? And will Starmer, the final question, actually be able to stop the boats? Now, something that many have been asking. Rishi Sunak was asked this question. Keir Starmer is being asked this question. Will that actually happen? Let's get in Pratik Dattani, who's the founder of Bridge India, joining us on the broadcast. So thanks so much for speaking to NDTV, joining us from London. Let me start by asking you the impact that these changes in the visa norms are going to have on Indians, on Indian students, Indian care workers who are looking to be in the UK on legit routes. Unmute yourself, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a complete reset of the immigration system in the UK. It's the biggest set of changes for several decades. There are 140,000 Indian students in the UK right now. The bad news is that currently Indian students have 2 years after their study to not require another visa, and it's only after 2 years that they need to migrate to a worker visa. The vast majority of these 140,000 will not be able to stay in the UK after those 2 years because there simply won't be the jobs. And why won't there be the jobs? Because to hire somebody from India, like you pointed out earlier, will cost a minimum of £41,700, which is about 43 lakhs or 42.5 lakhs. plus the legal fees and the certificate of sponsorship fees on top, which means hiring an Indian will be significantly more expensive than hiring a Brit for exactly the same job. So that's something Indian students do have to bear in mind, whether they're already here,
That's a deal
or whether
breaker.
they're planning.
That itself is a deal breaker for many.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're spending 20, 30, 40,000 pounds on student fees coming here every year, and then you aren't guaranteed a job at the end of it, it's a difficult proposition. But the way the UK sees it is actually for Indian students, Australia, Canada, the US are all shutting up shop. So the UK, in relative terms, is still incredibly attractive as an education market.
What about care workers? How much do you think will be the impact there? Because that route is now effectively being shut.
Yeah, and there's two main reasons for this. If you earn £25,000, typically care workers are older. Students don't have dependents, care workers have dependents. If you're bringing in your family as well, then realistically on £25,000, the government has said that you cannot pay for husband, wife, kids also in the UK. It's just simply too low a salary. And therefore, a lot of care workers don't live in the best conditions. They're very at the very bottom of the income scale. But there has been a real problem of fake documents and Indians in particular coming on care worker visas to the UK by coming to what you call fake jobs. They get the visa and then it turns out there's no jobs here in whoever's hired them. So that has been a huge concern because a lot of Indians then end up working cash in hand jobs. It's not their fault. They didn't know this was happening before they got to the UK. And this is a way of combating it.
Mr. Dattani, finally, I want to ask you this, that there's a very large number of international students who actually come from India to the UK every year. They also fund the large university economy as well. How do you now want to, if at all, any advice you were to give to them in the wake of these massive visa changes, what would that be?
I think that the biggest advice would be think about employability when you choose your courses. If you come here and do an engineering or a computer science or AI course, then earning £41,700 afterwards is not an issue. If you come here for arts, liberal arts, social sciences courses, then it's highly unlikely that there will be 140,000 jobs waiting at the end of the year earning that level. So if you think about employability, the UK is just as attractive as it has ever been.
I'm going to leave it there. Mr. Dattani, thanks much for speaking to us. It's quite early right now in London. Thanks much for taking out the time and speaking to us.